There's this internet personality. His name is Jason Silva. I'm a big fan. He's a poet, and it just allows things to flow through him. And the words, the concepts, the idea that he brings up is just so beautiful. A lot of times when I watch Shots of Awe, I'm thinking like, wow, he does this in one shot with no edit and just beautiful words come out of his mouth. Like, how does he do that? 2 years ago, he was actually at a Burning Man camp, and I had a in-depth conversation with him about it. As you know me, I'm very curious, and I was like, hey, finally I get to actually have a conversation with him. What is his creative process? So he's very ritualistic, very intentional about how he creates his art. The way he does that, he would drink coffee to stimulate his brain, and then he will use cannabis as a way to also helping to let go cognitively as well. And he's very scientific about it. There's a pen, I can't remember the name of it, essentially only give you a fixed dose per breath. He would do that 2 times, and then he would then get into that flow state. That's how he is able to scientifically, for him, control and how much stimulant, how much relaxant, and so forth as a way to tap into his flow.
Yeah, that's very interesting because I have another group. It's not a company, but we call it Canna Athlete, where we initially were helping athletes get off of opioids and onto cannabinoids as a way to manage their pain. But a lot of the athletes that we spoke to were actually utilizing cannabis before practice or even during games. We have several that have retired from the NFL that have talked about playing their best games while activated on cannabis. And we actually came up with different nomenclature for medication, intoxication, and for getting into flow state, we call it activation. And Jason Silva's routine is very similar to ours. We utilize cannabis. We also utilize caveman coffee, or whatever that coffee has, like MCT oil in it, whatever you want to call it. And then we also do Kundalini breathing. And we do that we do breath of fire for anywhere for 2.5 to 5 minutes. And we really utilize that ritual before we train to get everyone not into just flow, but into group flow as well. And it's pretty interesting that Jason Silva's formula is similar to ours. And what's interesting actually, CK, is the more and more that I show this to athletes, I'm starting to see some athletes want like a full cup of coffee. Some just want one puff. Some want to take a huge bong rip. Like, it's quite different in like the ratios of like coffee to cannabis to breathing. But what I'm starting to see is that having the ritual and having everyone do it at the same time, it really does help. It doesn't matter that we're taking different amounts each, but I do believe that getting yourself into the right mindset and having others helping create that container for flow state. We see it in the Friday Flow Masters as well. The collective flow is like a really wonderful place to be. And when you're doing jujitsu together or training together, it just adds like a second layer on top of just like, I always find training with people fun already, but when you could be doing it in active flow together, it's even more enjoyable.